Secret number 3 is about how to make money with this thing. How to actually make money with this thing. So how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. So here's the thing with apps. Most people, when they come up with an idea for an app, most people assume that their app needs to be free or 99 cents. Let me know in the chat if you were thinking that your app needs to be free or 99 cents. Let me know if you were thinking that. Right? Please do not do this to yourself. You are welcome to do the math to calculate how many 99 cents you need at a time in order to pay your bills. It's a lot of 99 cents. Okay, it's a lot of 99 cents. It's even more freeze. Okay, don't do that. You will be broke for the first few years if you do this. If it's 99 cents free, even $5, $10. I don't want you to be scraping dollar for dollar here. Right? So reality check your app. At least you should at least consider not making your app free or 99 cents. And here's the problem. Like, here's the exact issue with making your app free or 99 cents. Let's say that you wanted to make $60,000 this year with this app idea, right? Well, if you wanted to do that, you would need, if you charge 99 cents, 60,606 new customers every year in order to make this work. 60,000. And specifically what that means is you're going to have to bust your butt on marketing just to pay yourself that amount. That doesn't even include like getting an assistant to help you out, right? But what if you charge $50 a month for your app idea? What if you charged $50? Right? Well, if you did that, you would only need 166 customers to make an extra $100,000 this year. 166 customers. So here's my question. I want you to tell me the answer in the chat. Here's my question for you. Would you rather have a business where you needed 60,000 customers just to make it work? Or where you needed 166 customers to make it work? Let me know in the chat which you would prefer. All right. I see lots of 166s. You would prefer the 166. It's not saying that like you can't have more than that. Of course you can have more than that, right? But 166 would be nice. We could do that. We could make that work. Right? Yeah, right. So my job today is to show you how to price your app so that you get paid what you are worth. Because the reality is the time that you're spending even here at this class is worth more than 99 cents. Your time even learning this material is worth more than that. So there are a ton of ideas and different ways that you can charge more money for your app idea. I actually teach a lot of different ways in my 8-week training program, but I just want to teach you one right now. And that is called white labeling. Anyone heard of white labeling before? Y'all heard of white labeling? White labeling is when you ask yourself, what kinds of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of this app? What kind of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of this app? Right. And what you do is you design the app and you make a copy of it for that company or organization. And you take your logo off and you put their logo on. And you charge them money to sort of take credit, to say like, hey, look at our own custom app, right? They get to have their logo on it. So you charge them to take credit for it. And in exchange, they write you a big, huge check. That's what white labeling is. So you ask yourself what kinds of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of this app. Let me give you some examples. Let's say that you have an idea for an app that gives resources for homeless folks, right? You probably can't charge very much for that app, right? Homeless folks don't have that much money to give you. So instead, you ask yourself, well, what kinds of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of this app? And you think about it and you're like, well, what about like shelters, right? Or nonprofits, or all sorts of nonprofits who have lots of budget set aside because they want to help this population. So you make a copy of your app, take your logo off, you put their logo on. They get to say, hey, look at our app. They get to take credit for it. And they write, you say, that's okay as long as you write me this big, huge check, right? Or let's say you have an idea for a gardening app, right? That helps people figure out the soil that they should use and when to water their plant, right? We probably can't charge very much for that. Maybe $5, maybe $10, something like that, right? But you ask yourself, well, well, wait a minute, what kinds of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of this app? And you think about it and you're like, well, what about kind of places like home improvement stores, think like Home Depot, or even like nurseries, right? And so you make a copy of the app, you take your logo off, you put their logo on, and you charge them money to sort of take credit and say, hey, look at our cool app, right? So remember I was talking about Josh's app that teaches music classes. At first, he assumed that he should charge the parents for the app, right? That was, and he was going to charge $4.99 a month for this app. But then he asked himself, well, wait a minute, what kinds of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of this app? And he thought about it, like, actually, the schools. I think the schools would want to have their own version of the app. And that's exactly what he did. Instead of charging $5 per person, he charges $5,000 and up per school. $5,000 and up per school, right? If school has a lot of students, sometimes it's $10,000. And when you white label, your pricing starts. I mean, it should not go below $3,000 a year. $3,000 a year. Jonathan says, can you charge royalties? Well, you're charging annually. So you just keep getting paid. You just keep getting paid. If they want to keep using it, you keep getting paid, right? That's that annual fee. You can monthly too. Why in the world would anyone pay $3,000 a year for access to an app? Why would an organization do that? Well, think about their alternative. The alternative is they go spend $20,000 to hire a developer the traditional to build it for them. So your $3,000 a year is a great steal. Now, if you don't want to charge them annually, you can split that up monthly. That's like $250 divided by 12. So you can also do that, right? So here's my question to you. I want you to type the answer in the chat. What kinds of companies or organizations would want to have their own version of your app? Let me know in the chat what companies or organizations would want to have their own version of your app. Think about this. Bertoni says, Ben, I like the plan. Yeah. It sounds like licensing. It's very similar to licensing. The way this works is, imagine that you are the landlord and you have an apartment building, right? You are renting them. You're not selling it to them. You're renting to them, right? You're still the landlord. You still own it, and you're renting and allowing them to access it, right? And so they pay you monthly or they pay you annually for that rent. Crystal says schools, hotels, local health care agencies, labels and publishers, travel agencies, various air charter services. Yeah, right. What do you guys think that those kinds of companies and organizations, what do you think they would pay? Type in the chat, like, just an idea. We're just brainstorming right now. But like, what do you think they would pay per year for access to something like this? What do you guys think? The kind of, you told me what kind of organizations would be interested. What do you think they might pay? Right, for something like this? You could do monthly or annually, but what do you think they might pay for it? And what's really cool about white labeling is you can white label with an unlimited number of customers. It's not like you can just white label with one customer. You can do unlimited, right? Sean says $1,000 a month. Joseph says $50K probably a year. $75 a month. $100K a year. $10K a year. $5K. $500 a month. Yeah, right. You guys see where I'm going here? See where we're going on with this? Right. Because when you white label, your pricing starts, usually it doesn't go under $3,000 a year, right? Because you're charging companies or organizations. Now, if you want, it could be $250 a month, right? But their alternative is to spend $20,000, right? So don't shortchange yourself. It is sparking some ideas here. Because that's secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea.